So let's talk about something that's, well, it's deeply personal, and honestly, it can be really tough to talk about. We're going to dive into why a partner's interest in intimacy sometimes fades. It's a situation that can leave you feeling really confused, maybe a little lost. In this explainer, we're going to try and make sense of the very real reasons behind this common challenge. And look, if you're wondering about this, you are definitely not alone. This is actually one of the most common questions out there from people trying to understand why things can change so much, especially after big life events like getting married or having kids. Yeah, this quote, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's such a simple sentence, but it carries so much weight, so much worry and frustration. It's the starting point for a way bigger conversation. And the first place we need to look for answers isn't just in the emotions, but in the body itself. Okay, so first up, we absolutely have to talk about the incredible physical journey that many women go through. And this isn't just about one thing. It's a whole process that can stretch on for years and has a huge impact on the body and, of course, on intimacy. Think about it. Pregnancy alone is a 9-month marathon of physical changes. And for a lot of women, there are complications that mean doctors actually advise against physical intimacy for a while. That right there creates a gap, a kind of separation that can be really hard to close later on. And what you've got to realize here is how all this time adds up. It's a cumulative thing. We're not just talking about the 9 months of pregnancy. You add delivery to that, and then you've got a recovery period that can easily be 6 months, sometimes even longer, especially if there was a C-section. So we're talking well over a year of physical distance. It makes perfect sense that this kind of long gap can cause interest and attachment to naturally fade a bit. But it's not just about the physical healing, right? There's a whole chemical story going on inside the body. That hormonal roller coaster that happens during pregnancy, it doesn't just stop when the baby arrives. It keeps going, and it can create these imbalances that directly, and I mean directly, affect libido. So a huge player in this game is a hormone called estrogen. It's basically one of the main drivers of desire, and when those estrogen levels drop, which can happen after childbirth or even from things like a poor diet, interest can totally plummet. This is so important. If a lack of interest has been going on for a while, it might not be an emotional problem at all. It could be biological, which is why talking to a doctor is such a vital first step. Okay, so we've talked about the physical side, but the body doesn't operate in a bubble. The mind carries its own weight, and that burden can be just as heavy, if not heavier, in shaping desire. And let's be super clear about this. Postpartum depression, or PPD, is not just the baby blues. It's not a bad move that'll just pass. It is a real, serious medical condition, and it completely changes how a person sees the world, how they see themselves, and how they see their relationships. Wow, I mean, just listen to this quote. It's from someone who actually went through PPD, and it's just raw. It shows you that deep, isolating feeling, that sense that intimacy is no longer about connection, but just a transaction. And when you feel that unloved and used, of course, intimacy becomes a source of pain, not pleasure. And here's the thing that makes it even harder. So many women who are going through this have no idea. They don't realize that what they're feeling has a name, that it's a recognized medical issue, and that it can be treated. And that lack of awareness just drags out the strain on her and on the relationship. Which leads us perfectly into our third big piece of the puzzle, the actual dynamic of the relationship. Because our physical and mental health, they don't exist in a vacuum, right? They're shaped every single day by the connection or the conflict between two partners. Honestly, this might be the single most important takeaway of this whole explainer. You just can't expect physical connection at night if there's an emotional disconnection all day long. The two are completely tied together. Intimacy isn't some switch you can just flick on when you feel like it. It's the result of everything that's happened in the hours before. Just look at the difference here. I mean, really think about it. If a day is just filled with arguments, criticism, and constantly finding fault, how in the world is anyone supposed to feel open and loving and desirous later on? The original source put it perfectly. Do you really expect her to welcome you with open arms after a day like that? The answer is no, of course not. Real desire is built on a foundation of support, of appreciation, of feeling like you're a team. And it's not always about big, loud fights. Sometimes interest just kind of fades away quietly. It can be a slow erosion from a lack of emotional connection, from the relationship getting monotonous, or from just getting bored with the same old routine. When the excitement is gone, desire often follows it right out the door. So when we start pulling all these threads together, the physical, the mental, and the relational, you start to see the bigger picture. And it becomes pretty clear this isn't about pointing fingers or placing blame. It's about a call for real, genuine understanding. For empathy. Now, we do have to touch on the toughest possibility, the one we're all kind of afraid of, that maybe, just maybe, the interest in the partner themselves is gone. But it is so important to see this as a potential result of all these other unresolved issues we've been talking about, not necessarily the starting point.
Okay, so where do we go from here? What's the game plan? It really boils down to these four things. First, look beyond the obvious. Just accept that this is complicated with no easy fix. Second, acknowledge the physical reality of what her body has been through. Third, prioritize mental health. Understand that things like PPD are real and seek help if you need it. And finally, number four, and maybe the most crucial, nurture that emotional connection every single day.
At the end of the day, there's no simple one-size-fits-all answer here. And why is that? Because people aren't simple. This is about a complex person going through a complex issue. The solution isn't some quick hack. It's a real commitment to looking deeper with patience, with curiosity, and with a whole lot of empathy. So I'm going to leave you with this one last question to really think about. Beyond all the frustration and confusion, are you just hearing the silence, or are you actually listening for the unspoken reasons? Because that's often where the real answers are hiding.